In this video, we will talk about how to compare mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I have three examples for us to work through here. Let's check out this first example. Let's say we have the mixed number 4 1/2 and the improper fraction 18/5. Which one of these is larger? Well, to compare the two, it helps if we can convert both of them to mixed numbers or convert both of them to improper fractions. I typically like to convert them both to mixed numbers, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's convert this 18/5, this improper fraction, to a mixed number. So the way that we do that is we look at the denominator and say, how many 5s can go into 18? Well, that would be 3. So let's write that right here, 3. And then 3 5s, how much is that? That's 15. So how many more do we need to go from 15 to 18? That'd be 3. So what we do is we write 3, that remainder, as the numerator over the same denominator of 5. So 18/5 is the same as 3 3/5. So now we can compare 4 1/2 to 3 3/5. So when we're comparing mixed numbers, we first just want to look at the whole numbers. So is 4 greater than or less than 3? Well, it's greater than 3, so 4 1/2 must be larger than 3 3/5. Another way to think about that is 4 in some fraction will always be greater than 3 in some fraction. It doesn't even matter what the fraction is. So for this one, we can draw a greater than sign towards 4 1/2. So that's our final answer on that one. All right, let's try another one. Let's say we have the mixed number 5 4/7, and we want to compare that with the improper fraction 17/3. Which one is larger? Well, once again, let's start by converting the improper fraction to a mixed number. So the way that we do that is we say, how many 3s go into 17? Well, that would be 5. So let's write that right here, 5. And how much is left over? So 5 times 3, that's 15. To get to 17, we need 2 more. So we'll say 2 over, and we keep the same denominator, 3. So 17/3 is the same as 5 2/3. So now we can compare, I'll rewrite this, 5 4/7 and 5 2/3. Which one is larger? Well, when we're comparing mixed numbers, we first look at the whole numbers. So here we have a whole number of 5, and here we also have a whole number of 5. So their whole numbers are the same, so now we have to move on to the fractions. Which fraction is larger, 4/7 or 2/3? Well, that's not exactly obvious, but one trick that we can use is we can convert both fractions to have the same denominator. So the way that we do that is we take this first denominator of 7 and multiply both the numerator and denominator of the other fraction by that number. And then we take the second denominator, this 3 right here, and we multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by that number. So let's see what we get. 4 times 3, that's 12. 7 times 3, that's 21. So 4/7 is the same as 12/21. And then over here we have 2 times 7, that's 14. Over 3 times 7 is 21. So 2/3 is the same as 14/21. Now notice what we've done. We've created fractions that both have the same denominator. So to know which fraction is larger, all we have to do is compare the numerators. So we can see that 14 is greater than 12. So in other words, 2/3 is greater than 4/7. So 5 2/3 is greater than 5 4/7. So up here we're going to draw a greater than sign towards 17/3. So 17/3 is greater than 5 4/7. All right, let's try one more example. Let's say we have the mixed number 6 3/4 and the improper fraction 13/2. Which one of these is larger? Well, again, let's start by converting this improper fraction to a mixed number. So we'll ask ourselves, how many 2s go into 13? Well, that would be 6. So we'll write 6, and 6 times 2 is 12, so we would need 1 more to get to 13. So 1 is our remainder, and we write that over the same denominator of 2. So 13/2 is the same as 6 1/2. So let's rewrite the 6 3/4 right here. So which one is larger, 6 3/4 or 6 1/2? Well, again, we start by comparing the whole numbers. So we see that they both have the same whole number of 6. So now we can move on to the fractions. Which one's larger, 3/4 or 1/2? Now you might just know this off the top of your head that 3/4 is larger. If you do, you can go ahead and draw that greater than sign. But if that's not immediately obvious, you can use the trick that we used in the last example, where you take the denominator of this fraction and multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by that number. And then take the denominator of this fraction and multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by that number. So we get 3 times 2, which is 6, over 4 times 2 is 8. And then over here we get 1 times 4 is 4, over 2 times 4 is 8. So we've converted both 3/4 and 1/2 into fractions that have the same denominator. So to know which fraction is larger, we simply look at the numerators and we can see that 6 is greater than 4, which means 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So our final answer on this one is that 6 3/4 is greater than 13/2.